Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for sticking with us through these first couple of episodes of Time to Lean. We are having so much fun and really talking about some very interesting and important topics. It's been awesome. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. Crystal, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a busy week, but I am very happy that we record on Fridays, so I'm very happy it's Friday. Very happy.
Heck yeah.
How about you?
I'm good. I'm having this interesting time right now. I'm working on some big projects and I have to get a bunch of like household stuff done. We have a leak in our toilet and there's been just a bucket under it for a week.
Listen, if the bucket works, that's okay. It's okay while you work on the big stuff to let the bucket do its job.
But I'm having one of those moments where I'm like, I could use 2 more days of this week, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing fine. I didn't even say, this is Time to Lean with Laura and Crystal.
Hello.
We've got two things to talk about today. One of them is something from one of you. Thank you so much for always sending us. We have a bunch of voice notes now. It's really great. We've got questions to answer. You can DM us on our Instagram or send us an email. All of that is available in the links in our show notes or on Instagram in our link tree. But we also today, not our usual, but we're going to talk about a recurring topic that has showed up on TikTok. And it's really, there's a lot to say about it. So
fun. So with that, I'm going to go first so that we have a lot of time to talk about this TikTok. So this comes from one of our DMs. Again, thank you so much for sending us your messages and your troubleshooting things. Our Instagram is @TimeToLeanPod. You can always DM us anytime. Hi folks, love your podcast. Came here from watching Laura's TikTok videos. I've been married for 20 plus years to my ADHD spouse. I feel my spouse uses a combination of his ADHD diagnosis and his demanding career as excuses for not pulling his weight around the house. He wants me to basically lay everything out for him or ask him to help when I need it. I have grown to be very resentful of the situation as I feel like he is just another child and I am responsible for most of the time. He only ever participates in household responsibilities that I refuse to do, but only if they bother him. Otherwise, he'll just let it go and not be bothered. I have tried to get him to read Fair Play and use the cards, but he can't be bothered. What do I do other than cut my losses and leave because I feel I'm nearing that point? Would love any tips you may have. It's anonymous. What's your initial reaction to that, Laura? It's a lot there.
personally, I think she's already gone.
Say more.
Okay, so I have, both of us work with couples. I have my own experience with inequity. Resentment can be heavy. Mm-hmm. And just from the words that this person said and from my experience with couples, if you've gotten to the point where you feel so alone and unheard and unseen in your partnership, maybe after 20 years, he's going to turn a corner. That could be awesome. How much damage has been done? Just from what she's saying. Like, I can tell, you can tell, we can tell that they have obviously she's put in so much effort. Mm-hmm. Especially if she's been like laying things out, coming up with plans, building systems, reminding, asking, hey, here's a thing that would really help us. I've gone out of my way to like find Fair Play. It's a cool tool. Here's the thing. And he says no.
Mm-hmm. The phrase especially can't be bothered, right? There's like such weightiness to that. My dog just really wants to be involved today. Back up, bub. Having that like can't be bothered by it, like the disinterest, right? The not having any inkling of buy-in or wanting to like work on what is going on with him, right? I feel like that's a huge tell. And listen, we're always, if you want to, we're always going to give, like, if you need it, we're always going to give you permission to say, I'm done. Right? I feel like most people feel like there's a space where they're going to reach, where they're going to be like, oh, clearly this is the line, I'm done. And in some situations it's like that. In other situations, it's a lot more ambiguous and a lot more in degrees, right? And you have to give yourself that permission. Give yourself permission to let go.
Yeah, a question that comes to mind that I would love to ask this person is, what are you getting out? What needs is this relationship meeting? And can you accept that for the next 20 years you will be overcompensating? Like this dynamic. And I think I do think that we should take some time to address the ADHD thing, because obviously
Yes, absolutely.
you and I both have
Yep.
ideas about that. But what it is, and I think you nailed it, is when you don't buy in, when you are not showing up in good faith, when you cannot be bothered to meet the needs or even try to meet the needs of your partner.
Yep.
What do we do with that?
Well, and because again, like, I know that I talk about this a lot, but it, like, the bids for connection, right?
Yeah.
Hey, like, hey, I got the system. Hey, I have laid this out for you. Hey, will you read this book? Hey, like, her repeated attempts to, like, try and help, and his, like, I can't be bothered. That's a rejection, right? Like, that's a rejection of, like, no, I'm not interested in. So it's like, what are you, again, yeah, that's a great question. What are you getting out of this partnership? And are you willing to either not have that need met for the next 20 years? Or if you are not in a position where you can leave, where else can you get those needs met? How else can you get those needs met, right? What community can you put around yourself? What social supports do you have in place where you can get those needs met so that you can survive at home and also not, fade away or shrink yourself as a person?
Yeah, you're not. That's the thing, is there's so much social messaging that says protect a relationship at all costs.
Yeah.
And I don't, every single place is constantly bombarding us like, don't break it up, don't break it. I don't subscribe to that. But also,
Right.
if someone is rejecting you over and over and over and over again, they're breaking it up.
Right. It's not as if you're
You're
just
the
like giving
glue.
up or letting go. Yeah, you're the thing that's holding it together.
If you
Yeah.
took a step back and did 50% of like if you contributed as much as they are contributing,
Yeah.
would your relationship fall apart?
Yeah.
Then it was never sustainable in the first place.
Right. Well, and it's also not it may be some sort of like relationship in terms of like you have a relation to them, but it's not a partnership, right? That's not a partnership. That's not a system that includes both of you. That's a system that one of you is killing yourself to make work. And that's exhausting and so lonely, so lonely and isolating. To address the ADHD part of it really quickly, right? Like it's a valid thing. And like, it's a valid diagnosis. Like, clearly I have ADHD, and I also have to take personal responsibility for the systems that I either do or do not put in place. Right. To not compensate, but make the tasks work for me, or put the systems in place that I need. I'm responsible for setting the timers so I don't forget the laundry when I have laundry card, right? I'm responsible. I didn't take the trash down. Trash was like one of my big cards this week. It was very, very cold in Southern California this week. I didn't remember till the morning of, and it was 34 degrees. So I made the choice to not take the trash cans down, and now we have trash piling out over by the dumpsters. So now it's going to be my job on Monday to make sure I arrange for like an extra pickup, right? So that we can get that trash cleared. That's on me to now figure out, right? I don't go, well, I don't know. Like, I had a really busy week and it was really cold outside that morning, right? Having a busy career and ADHD isn't an excuse. Like, those are excuses, right? If we're saying like, well, I can't do it because thus and such, right? Again, it goes back to like the partnership thing. Some weeks my like ADHD, for whatever reason, my attention is a lot shorter. I don't have as much capacity. So then I let Ben know, hey, my capacity is low. So can we switch cards, or what can we do, right? Can you help me with this task, or can we switch cards for today? And then I'll take these cards back. I've got to handle this situation and then, go back to this. But I don't put that on him, right? I don't say, well, my ADHD, so I don't know what to tell you, right? There are a lot of different things that you can put into place to make the way your brain works work for you.
Yeah, I think what's important there is agreeing ahead of time what a system is or what feels good. This person who called is obviously saying, like, I feel taken advantage of. I feel rejected. I feel exploited for having to overcompensate, come up with the systems, do all of these things that don't feel good to me.
Yep.
Like you said, communicating openly and saying, hey, I need your help for this is personal responsibility. Now, there are things like, okay, I literally am only focusing forward. I do not see the mess around me. I have a hard time remembering things, or I didn't go out the back door, so I didn't realize that the trash was on the back porch. There's all this stuff that happens, or you're overwhelmed at work. It all comes back to good faith. And if you're going to use the fair play system, if you do have someone who has ADHD in your life and they are struggling to get things done, you're feeling like, I'm feeling like I can't rely on you. I'm feeling like really hurt by this. Talking about it.
Yeah.
Sitting down for even 15 minutes to come up together with a solution. That's good faith. ADHD and disability, all of that is 100% valid. It is not an excuse to use your partner without their consent. It's totally cool if you were like, hey, Ben, do you mind like playing a song for me every morning? And he's like, yes, that's cool.
Yeah.
All fair and good. Fair play, fair divisions of labor, and making systems that work for you is consent.
Yes.
Agreement.
It is consent based. Yep. It's agreement because then it's not everybody's the roles are clear, the expectations are clear, right? I always tell my clients clear is kind. So like if that's not being needy, that's not being demanding, that's not being right. I feel like so many of us kind of view parents especially, but women in general, right? A blanket statement, right? View needs as burdens. And it's like, no, like needs and expectations are like, it's such a kind thing to give to someone that you love, because then you're not holding secret resentment, or you're not like set up to like, you're not setting that partnership up for that kind of failure. Like and if they don't want to meet like this caller, right? This person who wrote in, if they're not agreeing to the expectations, or if they're not, willing to participate in that conversation, there is nowhere for you to go, right? I have a lot of hard conversations with clients of like, he won't talk to me about it. And it's like, yeah, you can decide to continue, beating your head against that wall. And you can stay, but like, we've got to get those needs met then somewhere else. How do we change this so that you get the support that you need, whether or not you're going to stay?
Yeah, I think that's a key right there, is you have a choice. And I don't say, like you and I will always agree that the choice is not always like stay or go. That's
yes, 100%. No.
And especially because, there are a million reasons why those are not your only choices.
Yeah.
But you can be responsible for holding a boundary, and
yes,
your boundaries get to be whatever they are. It can be, you agreed to do these things. And even if the house stinks and it gets messy and it gets disgusting, you said you were going to do these things. I am not going to step in. I am not going to do them. Your mother-in-law is going to come over. And if she gives us any sort of stink eye, I'm going to tell her out loud that was you and your responsibility. You get to set the rules, but your boundaries, you're allowed to have boundaries. Like you said, clear is kind. Boundaries are kind. They are necessary for a healthy relationship. So it's okay to be like, I'm not going to, you know what? You said you were going to do the trash. And even though it was cold, like, you didn't ask me for help. How am I supposed to know you needed help if you didn't ask me?
Yeah, there was something that I was talking about or was listening to earlier this week. And it was saying there's this romanticized idea that like, if you are in a true love kind of relationship, they should be able to read your mind, right? Like they should be able to read your mind and just know I shouldn't have to tell them. That's like a made up thing, right? Like, of course you're going to have to communicate clearly to the person that is supposed to love you. Like here's, I'm thinking of the Last of Us episode with Frank and Bill that just destroyed me. But one of the lines that one of the partners says to the other is, love me how I want you to, right? And it's like, you've got to be clear about how how your partner can show up for you in order for them to show up. They just can't, pick up on it out of thin air or assume, because truthfully that it doesn't work either. Right. I have done that with Ben before, and all it ends up is us in the same pissed off place with each other. Right. Why didn't you know that? Why would you expect that of me? Right. And I don't know if we've plugged her every single episode, but Dr. Nedra Tawwab wrote
yes,
Boundaries. Oh, I'm thinking of Drama Free. What is Set Boundaries, Find Peace?
Yeah.
Highly recommend any of her books, because it's a very clear, outlined, grace-filled way of outlining how to set boundaries and how to hold your own. That's the hardest part for me. I can set them all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I can educate people all day long on how to set them. Holding my own is where I get the most, when I cross my own is when I get the most frustrated. So it's hard, but it can be done.
It is. It's really hard. From her book, one of the really interesting things that I noticed about myself was, when I go to a coffee shop where it's by regular, and I walk in and they get me my regular, but I wanted something else.
Yes.
I would be like, oh no, it's fine. I didn't want this, but I'm going to walk away and I'm going to accept it. Little moments like that were really good for me to practice. Or walking into a store and not immediately, not walking around for 20 minutes to find something. Yeah. Instead, going and asking for what I needed so I could save myself all that time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, absolutely. I love that book.
I love those tiny ways to practice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I'm dying to talk about...
We got to talk about this.
Okay. So, this...
Also, I just have to plug really quickly. If you don't know, you can watch these recordings. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or you're listening to it on Spotify, we have these uploaded as videos to Spotify, so you can also watch the facial reactions, because sometimes they're priceless, like Laura just now. Head in the hands. Oh my God, let's talk about this TikTok video.
Okay, I'm going to play this TikTok video. The words she says are the most important part, and this is, I think, part of a two-parter. Okay, so all right, check it out.
You don't even have to intro it, yeah.
I said our brains think.
There we go.
What'd you say? I couldn't hear you.
I said our brains think differently. So right now, as I'm putting towels away, about to go to my job, I'm thinking, what are the kids going to have for cold lunch tomorrow on their first day of school? Then my brain says, we don't have bread. Then my brain says, I don't know when I'm going to get bread, because I literally work nonstop until 3:30. Then I have cross country till 4:30. Then I have horse lessons until 7:30. When am I going to get lunch stuff? So I'm thinking right now, literally 24 hours in advance, I'm going to go get bread. You're thinking about 5 minutes from now.
Mm-hmm. I love the caption. Our brains think so differently, but that's why we work so great as a team.
Okay, now the next part, okay? So a tiny bit of context for that video. Like I said, it's part of a two-parter. This is the second part. The first part is the husband comes in and she is picking up all these towels off the ground in the bathroom. She's throwing them in the dryer. And she goes, you're going out of town for 10 days. This is the first week of school, mind you. They have multiple children. You're going out of town for 10 days. You put all of your clothes in there to make them scent-free so you can go hunting. And now I need to figure out the uniforms, the food. I've been working all day and I come home and you have this entire mess for me to clean up. You can see she's past the point of, she's exploded. She's boiled over, rightfully so, in my opinion. And then she goes on, this is the second part. So you hear her rationalizing. Our brains work differently. I'm thinking about all these things. You think 5 minutes ahead. Okay, that's that. This is 7 months ago, right? This, or whatever the beginning of the school year was. Then I'm going to share the next one, okay? She just came up on my For You page again, same couple. And it's, okay. So for those of you who are listening and not watching, it's a guy in his truck, and he is showing his wife wrapped in a towel, walking out of the camping bathroom, gets in the truck. There are kids in the back seat. She walks up. Just listen.
Dad, you're
Hey.
actually ready?
What?
Why does everybody else have clothes on and you're still in your towel?
Because I'm the mom, and I get everybody else's shit together and not my own. So I come to the shower house with nothing. So here I
I
am.
had a super peaceful shower. It was nice.
Take me home.
Take me home. You hear that? Take me home.
It's the quiet. Just take me home. Okay. Wild. And so on the nose, right? Like, here's the thing. I want to hear your take on the, like, it's supposed to be a joke. Isn't it so funny? Right? Like, I am sure that they set that up for her to do that. And it speaks to a deeper, I mean, you talk about this all the time. It speaks to a deeper truth of, like, it's not funny. Right? Like, it's not funny that, like, moms don't have the time to take care of themselves because they're on the bottom of that priority list.
It's so frustrating to me. And I think about this all the time with clips from, like, Everybody Loves Raymond and King of Queens, where I wish I had the capability to strip the laugh track, take the same exact thing, and then put sappy music over it, or like despair.
Yeah.
It's so messed up. Like, that right there, both of those clips, if they got divorced, they could show it in divorce court and be like, this man has never taken an active role.
Never
You know,
never been
and
an
they
active
always,
participant.
in the comments section, they have, just so everybody knows, they have it pinned. These are pinned as their top videos. And I also don't want this to come off as an attack on this couple, because
Sure.
what they have done wraps up all of this, the social ideals that women should sacrifice themselves. Men are the side characters. They are goofy, silly. Look at me. Oh, I had a really good time.
Yep.
Like,
I had a super
they
peaceful
think
shower.
it's so normal. They're
Yes.
they're so cool with it that they're like, obviously, this is relatable.
Yeah.
This is so silly. It's not. Where? Why is this funny?
And why is it the standard? Why is it a universally understood and accepted truth, right? Like, why it absolutely should not be. Right?
And okay, I experience this every day on TikTok. And this is how I started with TikTok. Is somebody in my personal life posted a video of her husband holding the baby, and she's like, my best hubby let me take 30 minutes at the gym. I went on TikTok and I was like, this is so sad. And I talked about it in a different context. What happens all of the time on TikTok is, if I repost this video, people in the comment section will relate to it and be upset. People on their For You page relate to it and laugh. This is the shift that I am hoping that we can make to, like, okay, yes, to what you said. Why is this relatable? Why it can be relatable sad, or it can be relatable angry, or it can be relatable funny.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and having that space too of, like, because you're exactly right? When you post it on your side, it's like this should not be normalized. Like, let's, like, stop normalizing this experience. And then on their side, the comments of, like, oh, it's so fun. Like, isn't it? And it's the thing of, stop. The marriage is not a partnership. It's like it's another kid, right? To that like extent, it's like, no, this is just another kid who gets to enjoy a peaceful shower, and I am still the one who's in charge of everybody, and that's not okay, right? It's not like, why are we normalizing that? Why are we're making light of it's making light of an issue that deserves attention, but not in that way.
exactly. Exactly. And I have been sent this video 800 times, and I'm really curious your thoughts on this. But that video of the woman on the pulpit or whatever, the comedian who's like, all right, babes, y'all are out for the first time.
Girls' night
probably
out.
in 3 effing months. And raise your hand if your husband already texted you because he needed something.
Okay, and what's wild about... Sorry, I'll let you finish your thought.
No, that's all. Like, I want to hear, like,
Just... Okay, what's wild about that is that at every single women's event that I went to when I was, like, part of, like, the traditional, like, evangelical church, that's a very common thread. That's, like, the opener, right? Especially if it's a mom's night out. I mean, generally, if it's a women's night out, because every woman who attends is assumed to be a mother, right? But it's that thing of, like... But I have to tell you, right? We are also raised as, like... the message to women in those contexts, like especially because as soon as I saw that you had stitched it and like saw you in the corner, I was like, oh, this is a women's event, right? Because she's got the head mic, she's got the pulpit, she's got like the whole deal. And the message in those meetings is always, you're a helpmeet, right? Like you're not an equal partner to your spouse. You are supposed to be their helper. So that helper oftentimes looks like parenting, right? Like, oh, he's so silly, he doesn't know how to do his laundry. Like, there was a book that I thought about saying the title, but I don't want to, like, throw anybody under a bus. But it's the extent of, like, no, your ministry at home is your ministry, right? This was, like, the thing of, like, having clean clothes, having the dishes done, having a clean and calm home is your ministry. That is how you're serving God. That's how you're serving, like, your bigger purpose. Like, being a helper and putting yourself last is your life's purpose. That should be what you strive for. And so have your husband's texted you already in that context, that's a badge of honor. Well, of course he's texted me. He can't live without me.
Right.
Right? Because I'm the helpmeet. If he hasn't texted me, what am I not doing?
Right.
Right? So again, goofy, silly, funny moods, but also like, no, like that's so toxic. Even still, right? Like I am even still trying to work out, if I'm not a martyr, then what am I? Yeah. How do I define being a mother? Right? If I'm not a martyr, then who am I as a mom? I don't know what to do with that.
That comedian saw my video and then in the comment section said, oh, it wasn't my intent. And like, what wasn't your intent? What do you mean?
It wasn't her intent for you to repost it.
No, exactly. In the context of how harmful this is. Yeah. I didn't even say anything. All I did was like, I cut the reality of what she was saying and then I added her laugh track. Literally, that's all I did. It was like, okay, tell me the first thing that your husband texted you. And it was like, what am I supposed to eat tonight? And I just repeated it back. I was like, oh, I don't know how to feed myself or my kids. Added her laugh track. The next one, he wanted me to put something on the Amazon wish list. Okay, so he's never done that before? He would rather go to his phone and text you and bother you while you're out than figure out how to do it? Mm-hmm. Okay, added her laugh track. The next one, Dad lost the kid.
Holy shit.
The third one was, hey, can't find the kid.
Oh my God.
Like, what?
It's so disparaging where it's like, no, this is not, like, that's neglect.
It's
like,
neglect.
If you don't, what are we talking about? That's not a punchline. That's neglect.
It is. Okay, and let me add this. I was recently doing some research on like the reason behind divorce or why people stay together because there's always this argument that women are ungrateful. You can never satisfy a woman because they initiate all these divorces. It's like, one, because he's not going to fucking do it because he doesn't do anything.
Well, also, how is that advantageous to him?
Right,
to ask for a divorce. He's got all of his needs met.
She's got to do the paperwork because he's not going to. Like that. Yeah. There's that, but there's also, okay. So maybe you could just listen to her.
We're not passionate about this at all. This isn't important to us at all. And here's the other thing. I just need to say this out loud. The majority of the men that come to the table when I'm doing coaching, or the men that show up to my workshops, are not these men. Right? They are not the men, like, because I just need to say, like, this is not, again, it's not a binary, right? It's not like, oh, like the majority, like men are assholes, right? Like this is not that wave of feminism. Like, you and I personally talk about intersectional feminism a lot, and if it doesn't include men, it's not intersectional, right? So, like, to any, like, men who are listening to this, or to any, like, spouses who are married to men who are like, I want to forward this to them and send this to them, please know that this is like a grace-filled space for people who are actively trying. For people that want to understand, for people that want to come into the conversation, right? We'll never get lambasted. It's like a-holes, like, you know, like the comedian, 100%, where it's like,
the jerk
that's
in the
not
car.
funny. That's not funny.
It's not
It's
funny
cruel.
to film your wife. It is humiliating. She is genuinely expressing concern, and he is minimizing it. It is clearly a part of a pattern.
Oh, yeah.
Very problematic. If that is you, we always put information about the hotline.org.
Yes.
That is abusive, harmful behavior.
Absolutely.
And with the caveat that this could be a skit. We do not actually
100%.
know what's going on. But
100%.
if this was on a sitcom and you saw yourself reflected on it, this is not okay behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that caveat. I love the caveat of, if this, we don't know the context, right? Because clearly the internet is not a place for nuance, TikTok especially. And if you see yourself reflected in that, that's not a great, in your personal life, that's a pattern. That's a pattern that is not healthy. Absolutely.
Okay. So when I was looking, I want to add to that about what you were talking about with that women's group.
Mm-hmm.
I did find a very interesting piece of data that when one spouse is ready to break up a partnership, or when, one person in a partnership is ready to break up, they stay when they feel like the other person relies on them.
Oh my gosh. That, like, I can see that, and that just, like, kills me.
Yes. So much. I sat with that for days, just being like, oh my God, all of the messaging that we've been told to rely on each other, what it means to rely on each other, how we get ourselves into situations like this. There's so much there, but that is a very interesting piece of, why would outside forces want me to feel like everybody relies on me? Who's benefiting
100%.
from that?
And also pointing out, like, from a clinical therapy standpoint, right? That's like, we're not talking about interdependence, right? Where you have, like, there's a huge difference between depending on each other, right? But when you feel like you hold whatever it is, the emotional, you know, their emotional health, if you feel like you hold their physical health, if you feel like you hold their financial health, like, that's not, then you're being held hostage.
Yes.
Right? There's a very, very big difference between, Google it, interdependability or interdependence, right? Very, very different. So, I love that. I love that space. Yeah.
My husband would have a hard time if I went out of town for a week, the same way that I would have a hard time if he went out of town for a week.
Yes.
If one of us quit our jobs, it would be a conversation. Like, totally, totally different. To need one another is essential. We all need each other.
Yes.
To rely on, to not be able to survive without someone, or to at least make them feel like that.
Yeah. Well, that's isolation. That's coercion.
That's
that's abuse of some degree.
Ugh. And here's why it was so important to bring this up today, was that it's not funny. There's no funny haha here at all. But it also normalizes abuse.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah.
So many of these videos drive me. I just want to scream.
Oh, my God.
Because it's okay. This is funny. And then the dude in these, again, this is a very small portion of people who willingly benefit from it, willingly, knowingly benefit. Some people casually are, we all have these messages. We've all been indoctrinated into these ideas. So that's not what's going on here. The men who willingly do this will say, why are you making a big deal out of this? Why are you, it's a joke. Why? It's not
It's a joke,
deal.
lighten up. Yeah. Which is like also a characteristic of narcissists, but that's tangential to the point. Do you think that's why women also have a very hard time telling what's abuse and what's not?
Yeah.
Right? Because like this like normalization of like, oh, I get it, like haha, funny joke, and also like there's it's that thing that you hear, like, I mean, I heard a lot in middle school where it's like in teasing there's always like an element of truth, right? Or when you joke around with somebody and like tease somebody, it's like there's always an element of truth. It's like, no, the nugget of that truth is that you're being manipulated and being made to be put in a position that you don't want to be in, and that's not okay.
Oh, exactly. And it all stems from, I mean, I was just looking at a video from Dick Van Dyke. It's from the Dick Van Dyke Show. Dad walks into the living room. Mary Tyler Moore is like pulling her hair out. She's like, I have so much to do today. She's very clearly upset, and he puts his hands up and his eyes are opened real wide and he backs out. He's like, whoa, what did I do? And laugh track.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, so it's really funny when women get to a breaking point. That's so funny. Ha!
Yes.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, women. Isn't that so silly? Yeah.
Hysterical.
You know how they are.
Yep. So, not funny. We had to cover
Absolutely.
it today.
Oh, we had to cover that. Absolutely. First thing on the docket. So now that
All right.
everybody's like definitely like in a calm, regulated state, not emotionally activated at all, right? Do the deep breathing that we did a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Hand on your chest, hand on your tummy, deep belly breaths. You got this. But also we'd love to hear from you about this. Like, drop into our comments on Instagram, drop into our DMs. Like, we would love to continue a conversation about this.
That being said, if you can share something that you're going through, totally ask us a question. But Crystal and I are also both very into pop culture. We're very online. So if there is something like, the King of Queens that you are just dying to unpack with us, or something that you observed, please DM us. Let us know. We are happy to get enraged with you.
Absolutely. Always happy to get enraged with you. We are here for it.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. Send us stuff. We love you. Like and subscribe. Share this with people. It is bringing us so much joy to share this time with you.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
See you next time.